Hey, Yvonne. I was seeing a little bit of bite here. There is the rest of him, or most of the rest of him. It is really hard with something as big as he is to get it all in frame here, at least without moving the camera out to the front yard. Hello, John. It was actually a more of a mellow week this week. Last couple of weeks have been kind of hectic, and hopefully we'll be more back to normal next week. Yvonne thinks you're sweet. She doesn't know you, does she? Oh man, dare to live the dream, Yvonne. Yeah, Bite thinks that I'm his servant too, but he's wrong. You think I can't stop this? I can stop anytime I want. Bite was always sort of my pal, but more so when Nibble passed on. You know, they were together. They're his entire life, and so this is the first time where he's ever actually been alone for a while. So as I've said before, he became a bit more clingy after her passing, but that's okay. He's a good boy. Yeah, yeah. I got a handful of Jordan Line T-shirts. So I don't usually wear them in general very often, but every once in a while I'll pull them out for the live stream. So I wore one last week. I was wearing one. I'm wearing one today. Probably do a different one each week for the next couple live streams. You don't mind, except that there isn't a bite T-shirt, is there? All right, there. Let me see us both now here. Yes, happy Father's Day, all the fathers out there. Bite is not a fan of Jaw. It was never going to work. Bite's first instinct is to run, and Jaw's first instinct is to chase. So yeah, they never got along that well. When Jaw would stay over at my house, I would put a barricade in front of the bite and Nibble and Bite's room. The cats could jump over, but the Jaw couldn't get over, and so that kind of gave the cats a place to retreat if they needed to. I just think it has to do with the fact that Bite and Nibble never saw another dog. We didn't even really have that many dogs living near us, so I don't think they even heard them that much. Not that anyone ever hears Jaw. Jaw doesn't bark. So long as I've ever known him, I've never heard him bark. He'll whimper, he'll yelp if he doesn't like you doing something, but I've never heard him bark. I think that's how Jordan kind of got away with the violating the no pets rule in that apartment he was in. And I don't think that rule was strictly enforced because I heard Jordan say on a couple of times that the landlord had three dogs, and you heard other dogs in the apartments when you go there. So yeah, I guess there's a Bucky's in Arizona now. Yeah, they're uh, trying to expand the franchise a little bit. It's been very popular here in Texas. We love our Bucky's. Whenever I'm like near one, I like to go check it out. And there's like four or five of them that I've been to so far. They're fun. Yeah, I heard that too. A lot of the people here for the America's Cup were impressed with Texas things, not just Bucky's and barbecue, and and all the stuff. I heard that they were so much into ranch dressing that the airlines started preventing them from shipping them back home. They were like cleaning out grocery stores of ranch dressing to ship it back home, and the airport had to crack down on it. Yeah, fudge counter. The I like the jerky aisle, um, and then of course I just like to kind of wander the shop into things. You never know. A lot of those Buc-ee's, it's stuff that's more like just locally made. So it isn't like, there's some Buc-ee's factory and all of the Buc-ee's junk that you need is there. Yes, there is that, but a lot of each one of the stores kind of does their own thing, and they sell things by local artisans. So there's a lot of kind of fun stuff around there, and you can go into every one of them, and it's going to be a different experience. Yeah, I don't know. Apparently, some of the visitors were packing, bringing home like cases of ranch dressing. I don't know what that's all about, because I wouldn't think it would be that hard to get it. I mean, if you like it, just order it on Amazon. I don't think there's anything in the Amazon rules they can't ship ranch dressing overseas. Yeah, I guess I've never really thought that much about what would be in it. He's definitely getting into shedding mode now. Holy cow, is the fur flying? I was wondering if the base was mayo or sour cream. And I was thinking maybe mayo. I'll have to check it out, see if I can find something that looks good. I've been thinking about bringing this one to the vet and getting him a lion cut. Hey Tracy, yeah, it's supposed to come tomorrow. In fact, if you remember when I mentioned it, I said, "No, is it going to fit?" And we pulled out those cabinets above it to make it fit. Well, I started thinking the day after I did that video that am I going to be able to get this thing in the house? And so I actually ended up going back to Home Depot because I was concerned, I don't have a like a sliding door or something like that that's double wide. The widest door I have is the front door in the house. And I looked at that, and that's 34 inches wide. Um, and it seemed to me the refrigerator stuck out more than that. It was 36 inches deep. I wasn't sure we were going to be able to get the thing in the house, but I think maybe we will. We'll see. They're going to probably have to take the doors off, though. Hey, Eric. Oh, what was the brand? I think it's a GE. Let's see. I took a picture of it on this here. Yeah, it's a GE. So it's supposed to arrive tomorrow. I'm ready. All right. So Eric's going to be doing super chats today, huh? That's cool. Congratulations, Eric. Yeah, that's sort of what I do too with recipes. You got to make it your own, especially if it's going to be something you do over and over again. Even, my mom's lasagna, I've added my own twist to it. Does your company do a shift differential, Eric, where you get a little bit more money for working at night? I know my company does. Sometimes some of the employees in the day shift will move to night shift because they get a little bit more money. I'll tell you, I was always happy working like a swing shift, going in at like 2 in the afternoon, staying till 10 or 11 at night. I was always somebody that liked to, I was a bit of a night owl and I like to sleep in a bit in the morning. I kind of had to evolve away from that now that I work in the morning and have to be at work at 6 a.m. But, back in the day when I had up, even when I was, back when I was in the CD factory at the first point, I was the senior person in the department, but I chose the night shift or the swing shift because I like sleeping in the morning and I'm a night owl. So, and I've had a few jobs where I had to work overnight. To pick up hours at Disney, they'd sometimes put you on late maintenance crews. The people, especially around Christmas, when they got to put up all the Christmas lights, they got to have spotters to keep people away from, the dangerous areas and stuff like that. And that was us. Well, there's some people that work on the night shift at the place I work, and I don't know how they do it, but when they're on their weekend, they switch back to day shift and then switch back to night shift again for when they go to work. I don't know how they do it. I couldn't do that. If I worked night shift, I'd have to, on my off days, would have to be at night too. It would really limit my ability to go out and do any vlogging too. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it as, it sounds like he's got the night shift. Because I was saying 6:30 to 5 a.m. That's, swing shift is usually like mid afternoon to kind of later evening, later night. Sounds like he's just got the night shift. Oh man, I think I got out of Disney too late, but it was perfect timing because the stars kind of aligned when I came here, and you know, um, it's been nothing but positive here. I'm still hacking up gunk when I cough from time to time, but for the most part, I'm over the cold, whatever it was. It really wasn't that serious. I lost my voice that day 2 weeks ago, and I wouldn't have been able to do the live stream. It's just funny. I had two colds in the week, and within a couple of weeks of each other, because I was sick in Solvang too. You remember that? And I came back and I was fine for a week, and then the next weekend I was sick again. So I don't know if it was two different things that hit me, or sometimes, I'll be sick with one thing and I'll kind of seem like I'm recovering, and then I get like a flashback or something. Yeah, I know. It was really the best thing for me that Disney, just did me the way they did. Because I don't know if I would be happy there. The place has gone so off the rails. You can't really even be proud of it anymore. I don't know how the stockholders put up with what they're doing. They're making bomb after bomb after bomb on movies by trying to make them so woke and not just being stuck with, telling a good story. Well, Disney's a really polarizing place, Tracy, because there's people that love it and they love every bit of it. And then there's people like me that just don't. I mean the other lead that I work with at the department I'm in also came from Disney. She loves the place. You know, I don't think she could afford to live there anymore, but she loved the place and still to this day talks very positively about it. Yeah, that was a good thing. I mean, we didn't have like the you get paid anytime you got paid on payday, but we could very easily switch shifts. And that was how I got good hours at Disney at the beginning. Because at the beginning, I was getting assigned 1 day a week because I was like the low seniority, but I would get myself up to 5 or 6 days a week just by trading with other people. And I kind of had a reputation early on that everyone knew that if I was available, that I would take their hours. So I was usually the one that came to first. Yeah, I definitely made the right decision. And, it was kind of good that the master plan worked out as well as it did. I mean, the only part of the plan that didn't work out as planned was, I figured that I'd have a job within 6 months. It was a little bit more than a year, but other than that, everything worked out great because that was the plan. Sell my house, move all my stuff to Texas, move myself to Texas, find an apartment for a while, find a job, and then buy a house. And that's exactly what happened. Apartment for a while, find a job, and then buy a house. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah, that's true. Amazon isn't going anywhere soon. That is absolutely 100% correct. And I think one of the things I didn't even plan on when the move to Texas is how much I love it here. I mean, the people are nice. I love where I live. There's a lot of kind of cool, fun places to go walk around. I love doing that. It's a small enough of a town to kind of have to still have the small town feel, but big enough to have everything you need. I think the thing the TV station, I think the thing the TV station could have been a good one. I wouldn't have stayed where I was. I would have been miserable though at the beginning because one of my understanding is one of my jobs would have been to download stuff from the network for the local broadcasts. And so, among other things, I would have had to watch The View every day, and I think that would have driven me crazy. But I think I could have moved into other places because there's enough things that I know about video production. Even before I was vlogging, I used to. I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but my church at one point started something called the Interfaith Cable Commission, where we went on public access and we could broadcast stuff from our church services and stuff like that. And that led me to connecting up with, well, one of my friends at the church also worked for well, basically, he was a telecommunications professor at uh, Long Beach City College, I think it was. And he had a show once a week that he did called Periscope, which was kind of just a local public affairs kind of thing, bring in different people, sometimes, associated with businesses or things going on. Occasionally he'd get celebrities in there and he'd go on and do an hour-long interview with them, or I think it was a 30-minute interview with them. And for a few years there, I worked on that. I was mainly the sound guy, but a couple times I directed, and I was out on the camera a bunch too. So I mean, I think I know enough to at least get a foot in the door of a place. I think I could have turned that into something, but I'm very happy where I am. So, and Ferguson toilets, I think I would have been embarrassed by that eventually. In HEB, I don't know. I don't know how much that would have kept my interest. Well, I mean, I suppose in terms of having to watch The View, I'd developed the same avoidance techniques that I had when I was in a CD world and had to listen to the horrible CDs that were being made. I got to the point with those that I could listen to them because I had to listen to them for like digital defects. I could listen to them without hearing them, and so I could hear the defects, but I could tune the music out. And I suspect I could probably do the same thing with a view. You got to figure out. I got to get a vlog or two done this weekend too. I don't know what yet. No, I haven't heard anything, but I don't expect that there'll be anything new on the marker until like later in the year, September, October, November, something like that. I heard something like 9 months. So I did repeatedly ask them for photos of the marker as it was being made, but I don't know. I don't get the impression that they were thought they were going to be able to do that. So I don't know. It'd be neat, but well, I'm not going to redo the cabinet. I'm going to have them just kind of reframe the area. We're going to pull there's that bulkhead up above the refrigerator, and we'll pull that out. And I just want to have them run up the side of the cabinet that's there, straight up to the wall, move the crown molding that's on there into the new position, and just kind of neaten it up. And then we can get in there and paint it. I mean, it was one of those kind of split second decisions to pull that thing out, but those cabinets weren't doing me any good anyway because I couldn't open the door. I put some stuff in there, but it was stuff that I didn't use very much because to open those doors, I literally had to pull the refrigerator away from the wall. I asked for them to send me production photos of it, but like I said, you know, I didn't get the impression that that was going to be much of an option. Just be smart with credit, Eric. I had a problem controlling the spending when I first got my credit cards, and I kept running them up to the max. And at one point, I refinanced my house and paid off the credit cards. And at that point, I cut up the credit cards and never used them again until recently. I have one now, yeah, but I'm a little bit more fiscally responsible. But it's very easy to get into trouble with a credit card. So do make sure you pay it off. Don't just run it up to the max and make the minimum payments. You'll be paying for the rest of your life if you do that. No, there's no AC up there, Susan. AC is on the other side of the house, so or on the other side of the kitchen there, and it's running through the ceiling. I don't. I think the bulkheads were just space holders. whoever the cabinets were built for, they were built for somebody with probably pretty short. And so rather than putting the cabinets up along the ceiling, they put like a 12-inch bulkhead there and lowered the cabinets down. Well, I'm going to the rock store today, so um, hopefully I'll have something to show you next week. But I'm still a little bit hungover from that rock and mineral show because I brought like 40 things home with me on that from that show. I made 5 trips out to the car during that visit. Hey Darth, now it's a party. I don't know, but I know the minimum payment is designed to keep you accruing interest for almost the rest of your life. So that's why it's good to pay it off. I put that refrigerator on the credit card, but I'm going to pay that off immediately. I don't think there's going to be any GBV posters in there, but what I do want to do is maybe put a shelf there, maybe even 2 shelves, depending on how much space there is. Maybe that might be the opportunity for me to go out and get one of those air fryers. I mean, it's true. I do have some Gotta Buy Voices posters that aren't hung up yet, but still. Hello, Helen. Yeah, things are great in Texas. I love Texas. We were just talking about that a few minutes ago. How I made the best one of the best decisions of my life when I left California and came here. Oh, that's right. I read it wrong here. Yvonne corrected me here. It's Helena, isn't it? Sorry, my eyes are horrible, and it looked like Helen to me. Oh yeah, Bite went to his room. So I don't know. Maybe come back. Yeah, well, we could shake the treat jar, see if he'll return. At very least, we made all your cats and dogs come, right? Yeah, there he is. Let's see if he comes. Helena does sound more regal, doesn't it? Pretty sure he heard. Yep, his hearing's fine. You know the rules. There's two. There's only two of them. It's not hard to keep track of them. First rule is when Darth said bite gets a treat, bite gets a treat. But the rule number two is you got to be here to get the treat. That's the rule. You know the rules. We don't follow the rules. We're just monkeys sitting in trees flinging our feces at each other. Yeah, we don't want that. Meow. You just gonna stand there? Okay, well, heck with you. Yeah, that is a great story. I ultimately ended up giving that poster to Susan because at that point I had another one that was autographed and I had a whole bunch of others that were autographed. So it just made sense. And actually, right after the thing, I kind of let Susan's husband Matt display it in his garage, and eventually I just let them keep it. It's funny though. I was telling the guitar player that story once, and he responded back and said, with a Johnny Cash references, I was the boy named Sue. I don't know. I'm going to kind of play it by ear this week. We'll see. That's the problem. Is it's kind of hard to come. That's the downside of doing vlogging as a hobby versus doing it as a career, and living in a small town. There's only really so many things you can do. That is an option, though, Darth. There have been some new restaurants popping up recently that it might be kind of fun to check out. A couple of weeks ago, when I was at the Rock Shop, Kara recommended a Mexican place that had just recently opened up, and I was actually thinking about doing a vlog on that, but I just decided to go try it out for see what I thought, and it was okay. It was maybe kind of a the midpoint between like El Torito and Taco Bell. It was actually a sit down restaurant, but kind of a fast food kind of feel to it. It was all right though. You're quoting Yoda again. Jeez. Yoda didn't even think you should be trained. Well, they're having their big 4th of July bash on the Brazos again. Unfortunately, I'm going to probably have to work this year on the 4th of July. That's a bummer because for the last few years, we've been off on the 4th of July. And this is sort of a big one, but yeah, what's it called? The Hippodome. I've wanted to go check that place out because that place has been around for a century. In fact, it's supposedly haunted. I have no interest in the World Cup. It means nothing to me. I have found it interesting how some of the foreign visitors have liked parts of American culture. Hey, Mark. Well, I've been hearing it's been like the Scottish players that have really had fun with the American culture. There's a story floating around that Scottish uh, tourists basically drank all the beer in a bar, and they basically had to close the bar down because they drank every drop. They drank like 500 beers. They cleaned the place out. Gotta love that. I would have loved to be at a party. I don't even care about the soccer game, but just to hang out with people having that much fun. I know the energy would have caught up with me. I never was really that much into watching basketball or baseball either, but when you're there and when you're drawn on the energy of the crowd, it's infectious. And maybe it's just fun to see people get excited and rambunctious without it be turning into violence. Because unfortunately, that's happens all too often here. Yeah, I haven't seen Rhonda in a couple of weeks. I think she was here. I think last time I saw her was when I did the live stream from Solvang. I think she and Logan were both there. Yeah, it's soccer. They call it football though. It's like the World Series of soccer. See, I was never really into playing sports. My parents kind of forced the issue, first with softball and later with soccer, but I was never really into it. It wasn't my thing, and I've never really been into watching sports either. Like I said, there was a period there where I was going to Clippers games with Jordan because Jordan had like season tickets for a couple of years. He was really a fan of a guy named Blake Griffin and another guy named Chris Paul, and I think he kind of soured on the Clippers when they traded Blake. Never saw any bourbon infused pickles. No. Oh yeah, my understanding is rugby is basically football without all the protective equipment and a lot more violent. Not baseball, softball mostly. I wasn't, like I said, I was never really into it. Hello, Gene. Yeah, I can agree with John on that. Beach volleyball is awesome. Thoughts on Yellowstone someday. Okay, I would say maybe violent was the wrong word. Aggressive, I would say, would might be a better word. But there's any other kind of beach volleyball? Yeah, I guess I can watch surfing too. Surfing's fun. But there isn't a team. It's just an individual out there doing battle with nature. I remember one of the times I went to Hawaii. We went to the North Shore of what is it, Oahu or whatever, one of the islands where they have some of the best surfing in the world. And it was amazing. There were like 30-foot waves coming in. These people were on the waves. They were tiny compared to the size of the wave. That was pretty amazing. And you wouldn't get me out there, not for any amount of money, because you'd be hauling me back in on a stretcher if you did. I don't think there's very good surfing in the Gulf of America. It's the ocean that whips up the waves, not little gulfs. You get better surfing in California, Hawaii. I would guess probably on the Atlantic coast states too, if it's not too cold. Florida on the Atlantic side might have good surfing. There you go, lightsaber duels. I've seen a couple of those. No, I didn't hear that Melania was part of that, or Malia, whatever. The Obama daughter, right? Yeah, I can do the vicarious surfing. That's cool. Yeah, some people here just are really disgusting right now. They hate so much that they can't think clearly. No, man, you look at Google Maps, it calls it the Gulf of America. Australia, yeah, Australia supposedly has great surfing too. Yeah, I know. Yeah, all these black contractors to build that monument to himself, and he didn't even pay them. I don't know. I don't like the idea of making a deal with them. The Iranians have never kept a deal that they've ever made, and so what they'll do is they'll promise something in return for being left alone or given pallets of cash or whatever, and then they'll go back to doing it. I think that's we have to accept the fact that there isn't a diplomatic solution to every problem. Sometimes if you get a suicidal death cult like Iran, sometimes you just got to wipe them out. And I know we don't like to think about that, but the reason we haven't won a war since World War II is because we try and to fight to a stalemate instead of fighting to until we defeat the enemy. When we fought Germany and Italy and Japan during World War II, we fought to destroy them, and that was the goal. We carpet bombed Germany. We nuked Japan, and now both those countries are our friends. But we've been messing around with Iran for what 50 years now. Talk about forever wars. I saw someone that redecorated to make it look like one of those waste reclamation centers, like a big giant trash can. Well, see, that's another reason. We don't talk about that anymore, but Iran is still wiping out its own people. For a while, everybody was concerned about that. I hope so. I hope that's what it really is, Susan. That he understands that, and he's just making that last ditch effort at a diplomatic solution. And if that doesn't happen, then he's gonna basically say, "Okay, Israel, finish it." Yeah, I tried some paddleboarding. Jordan was into paddleboarding for I don't know a year or so, and so he bought one. He kind of encouraged me to get one. I think eventually he sold or gave his away, and I still have mine, but I haven't used it in a long time. I was never really good at the balance kind of thing. I kept falling in. In fact, I think I did video of that once. One of my go look at my playlist under flashback videos. It's in there somewhere. Well, like I said, Iran isn't looking to live in peace with the rest of the world. They want to conquer the rest of the world and convert it to Islam. And they think that if they die in that noble quest, that they'll go to heaven, get their 72 virgins. But and so I don't know. Yeah, 72 virgins all look like Dylan Mulvaney. But you know what they say, anyone who doesn't study the past is doomed to repeat it. No, I haven't really done any cooking videos. I gotta do that too. Maybe that's what I need to do this week is do some, videos of me stuffing my face, either by stuff I make myself or stuff I buy somewhere else. We've had some rain. You saw that rainstorm I showed you last week. That was a week ago. That was a week ago today, or a week ago tonight that happened. That was the most rain I've ever seen come from a single storm. We got 5 inches out of that because it rain. The video I showed I think is like 80 minutes long, and that's only half the video or half of the storm because it rained solidly for like 2.5 hours, just like that. It was like I said, you look at that video. You can see the river running through my backyard. Yeah, Bite never made it. He just hung out there on the floor for a while, and I guess he went back to his room or something. I don't know. He may come back out. Eventually, his stomach will coax him out. I love it when it rains. So, you go back and watch a bunch of my videos. There's usually a rainstorm in there once in a while. And then that one last week was so epic that I actually released it as a separate video. I put like 5 minutes or something of it, 5 or 7 minutes of it into the video I posted last week. But I posted the full 80-minute video all by itself too. Blueberry ice cream, huh? I don't know. Maybe. Works fine. It was a little bit calmer this week. The what makes everything chaotic is we have different lines that are running different products at the same time, and they all kind of start and stop on their own schedule. So it depends on um, you know when they start and how big the order was. Sometimes they all kind of line up where they all stop at the same time, and that gets a little complicated. Oh, Susan and her bourbon infused pickles. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know how good that sounds. I don't know. Would you eat bourbon infused pickles? They might be good. I don't know where you'd buy them though. One of the little culture shock things I found when I moved to Texas is unlike California, where you can go into a grocery store and get liquor, they don't sell liquor at grocery stores in Texas. You can only get liquor at a liquor store. So that was an interesting piece of culture shock. No, I got plenty of storage in the garage, and I cut those things out of there, so they're little pieces, and they've already been sent to the landfill. So no, we're not going to repurpose them. They're done. I got the doors, but I don't know what I'll do with the doors because the doors were one of the ones I painted, but I hadn't painted the cabinets yet. I did get one more section of the cabinets done over my last weekend. So the kitchen's almost done. I think I got two more sections of the kitchen to do. I don't know. Yeah, it might be good. It might not be. It might be horrible. I don't know. Can you actually taste the bourbon? I would suppose you would. Do you actually cook it in bourbon, or is it, or are they pickled like normally and then shipped in bourbon? I don't know. How does that work? The Royale with cheese. No, no Silo Screams. In fact, it was funny when I was going through sorting all my Jordan Alliance t-shirts. I also sorted all my Silo Screams t-shirts. I got all sorts of Silo Screams t-shirts, including one that John made for me specifically that has a picture of me on the back in one of my costumes. No, I just went at it with the reciprocating saw, pulled it out in pieces. It came down really easy, actually. And there's so much more room in there. I'm so much happier with that now. And when that new refrigerator comes tomorrow, yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. Well, I think it's interesting that refrigerator has that little drawer between the refrigerator and the freezer that you can set for either refrigerator or freezing. And so I can see all sorts of options for that. Oh, it's hard to go wrong with burgers. Well, I was mainly looking at features. I was really kind of opposed to the idea um, of getting a one with an ice maker or water dispenser in it, because I've only had bad luck with those. They always leak, and the one here I ended up disconnecting because it was leaking. The one that I had in California it leaked and damaged the floor. So I don't know. I just didn't really want one, but it isn't really possible to get one without that, unless it's like one of the little teeny tiny bar refrigerator kind of things. It's like, no, I don't want that. I have to get like five of those to hold my food. I think this is going to be really good, though. I think it's going to be good. I did have to get the ice maker, but the ice maker's inside, so you know maybe there'll be less issues. I don't know. And with ice makers, you can kind of turn them off too. It is fun, I guess, to have an ice maker if you want to make margaritas. I tried making bread once and it didn't work out that well. I don't know. It would be fun to do it. Oh yeah, French toast is good. I suppose, like I said, I've never really had a lot of need for an ice maker. Oh, I'll agree with that. When the one time I did make bread, the house smelled amazing. And maybe I started out with sourdough bread. Maybe that wasn't the best choice. Maybe I should have just done something more ordinary. We could just get some bourbon infused bourbon. Yeah, and I was wondering if maybe that was part of the problem, Gene. I've never made a pie. Pies are pretty good. I do have to admit, pies are awesome. Yeah, who needs to drink when everything you eat is infused with bourbon? There are several kind of pies that I would make, and apple would be one of them. Peach pie, apple pie, cherry pie. Never had key lime, so I don't know, but it might be interesting to make one just to see. I I tend to like things that are odd flavors, and I've heard that key lime can be a little polarizing for certain people. In the same pie? I don't know where the nearest Perkins is, though. I was thinking in California we had something called Marie Callender's that did really great pies, and that was not uncommon at all. For like Christmas or Thanksgiving, I'd just bring a pie or three. Lemon meringue pie, that'd be a good one. My mom used to make an excellent lemon meringue pie. I don't know, maybe I even have her recipe. That's generally true of almost everything, Helena. Homemade is just better. Flash is good. I saw her out in the back this morning, walking around in what used to be the pool. It's funny watching her like four-wheel drive down the side of that into the little pit. Yeah, pecan pie would be good too. I don't know. I don't know what fruits are actually not many fruits that are like grown in Texas. I would guess peaches probably do all right here, and so they because you think of peaches, you think of Georgia peaches. Well, Georgia's just a couple states over. It's got the same heat and same humidity. Hopefully, in a couple of years, I'll end up getting some peaches off of my peach tree when that happens. Yeah, well, I GoPro'd Flash once. You remember that? There's a video, I think it was called "The Day in the Life of Flash," where I put a GoPro on her, and just let her go in the yard. Made it easier to find her too. Well, I guess it would have to start with a good pie crust because my initial instinct would just be want to get one of those pre-made ones at the grocery store. But if you're going to do a homemade pie, you kind of got to do it. You got to do it from scratch, the whole thing here. Yeah, I remember boysenberry because that was a big thing at an amusement park in California called Knott's Berry Farm because they were famous for boysenberries. Well, I'd need to have some sort of a night camera to figure out, but I'm figuring it's probably a possum, maybe a raccoon, because nothing's going for the tomatoes that are much higher than 24 inches or so off the ground. It's the ones that a small animal could get up on their hind legs and get. That's the ones they're eating. And I've lost a significant number to that. You got to send it to me, Susan. If I were to do a pie crust, I'd want to have a good one. And I don't think my mom or anyone in my family has a good pie crust recipe. No, no box turtles, just flash. Although when it does get snowy, I do put her in a box, so she's sort of there for a while. It is a box turtle, but most of the time she's just a backyard turtle. Good seeing you, Gene. Thanks for stopping in. See you next time. Yeah, I just need a good recipe. That's all. And I don't know. Would I want a graham cracker crust for like a peach pie, or would you just want a regular crust? I could see graham cracker being good for like like a chocolate pie or something like that. Maybe even like an apple pie might be good. Cheesecake would be good too. Notice how our live streams always devolve into eating something food related. I don't know. I guess we all got one track minds, huh? No, I guess I missed that one. There's always going to be people out there that try and extort money from others. Not too explicit, Susan. This is a family channel. You get used to Texas weather in Texas. You just don't stay out in it long. I've had a couple of vlogs that ended up not getting produced because somebody objected and started giving me headache about it. There was right around the time my dad died. There was a museum exhibit down at Baylor University, and at first they were all cool with me being in there and videotaping, and then all of a sudden it started becoming more of an issue. They wanted me to only take pictures, and it's like, oh wait, we didn't think you were going to take pictures of everything. I guess they're concerned that people weren't going to come see the exhibit, but it was the last day of the exhibit anyway, so I don't know why they had a problem with it, but at the end of the day, they just created too much headache about it, and it turned into one of those videos that never got produced. I got a couple of them. Jordan was so close to his grandfather. He basically became the man in his life when his dad died. But it's a dry heat. Well, that's sort of why Jordan is such a great vlogger because he can make you feel the emotions that are of a place like that. See, the climate I thought was really nice in Southern California, where I live. I was just talking to my boss yesterday. He said, I guess the air conditioner in his house went out, and he was having somebody out there to work on it. And we started talking about air conditioning and how indispensable it is here. And I said, when I was in California, the air conditioner in my house didn't even work. And it didn't work for many, many years. In fact, I didn't get it working again until I sold it, until I was getting ready to sell it. And I never needed it because, even though I was 20 miles inland, we still had the ocean breeze. And what I could do is open up the back window in the upper floor of the house, open up the side window in the living room downstairs, and open up the front window. And basically, it would just the ocean breeze would just flow through the house. It was beautiful. And I rarely needed it. And if I did, I just opened the window, closed the blinds, and turned on the ceiling fan. That usually took care of it. Oh yeah, I mean Jordan. That's always been Jordan. He's always been a performer, and you're right. Uh, One of the things that always impressed me about Jordan's vlogs is how much research he does, and I've seen that from behind the scenes. He does his research. He watches videos. He reads articles. He reads you know magazine stuff. Magazine interviews and stuff like. He learns about the people. He finds all sorts of fun stuff about whatever the subject is, and then just presents it in a very entertaining way. I know one of the times Jordan was here, he was thinking about the about 50 miles north of here. There's somebody that built a very authentic Munsters house. I guess it looks like it on the outside, on the inside, and they give tours through it. And Jordan wanted to go do vlog that, but they don't allow video in there, and so that just happens sometimes. You run into those places where they won't, where they don't want you to do it. I think they think that if people see it on video, they won't want to come look at it in in person. But I think it's a trade off, and I think it works in favor of them because it's free advertising because seeing something in person is never the same as seeing a video about it. The only one here for the treat would be me, and I don't know. These things don't look very appetizing. Yeah, and Jordan's videos I think are better than some of the other vloggers. The even better than like Adam and Justin and Jacob and all that. Their videos are a little bit more superficial. You get some meat and potatoes with Jordan. No, I think Jordan said he got that whole issue with Adams and Memorial resolved. I think it was just a misunderstanding. Yeah, well, most of you know me, from Jordan. You know, that quiet guy standing behind Jordan in so many of his earlier videos. I never would have imagined I would have started my own, let alone still be doing it 7 years later. But it's funny, I'm kind of part of the Adam the Woo legacy because Jordan got into vlogging because of Adam, and I got into vlogging because of Jordan. So without Adam, I wouldn't be doing this either. I don't know. It might be a little bit more difficult to visit Jordan at this point now that he's married, but I don't know. I would definitely love to go see him. Yes, I did. I still got a lot of all those videos. You remember if you were on Facebook at the time, I would post videos of our little walks together with Jaw, with mixed to music. That was before I was doing vlogging, and I still had, so I already knew how to do editing and stuff like that. The Charles Manson site at Spawn Ranch, that was definitely one of my favorite ones. I think about going there, times I went there a lot. That was fun. Oh, that's how you made the connection? That's funny. Well, I still had the ability to do videos before to edit videos before I met Jordan. But yeah, you're probably right because I probably never would have talked to my boss about, oh yeah, I used to make these videos of my friend's dog when I babysit. The only reason my boss found out about the videos is because he saw my vlog, and from that he kind of said, "We got to do that for training. You do that training here." And it's like, okay, so yeah, probably true. That wouldn't happen either. Oh yeah, the Omen House right down the street from where the Manson murders were on Cielo Drive. Yeah, it's a good thing I have a big boy job, Mark, because if I'm counting on this to pay the bills, it ain't happening. That is also sort of the reason why the quantity of videos is kind of reduced a little bit. I want it to continue being fun because that's what it is right now. It's a hobby. It's something I enjoy doing, and I don't want it to turn into a job. Well, Jordan had been chasing the performing bug for his whole life. So I'm really happy that he found something that works well for him because he's doing really good with this now. I'm very pleased for his success because he worked hard for many years trying to make this happen, make something happen. Yeah, I'm not sure what I think. There's a lot of reason that I can come up to explain the things that I heard about the Omen House. Because basically, a lot of the evidence he had was like he had these little figurines stacked on top of the fish aquarium that he had, and every once in a while, one of them would get knocked over. Well, when you get this like a He-Man figurine, maybe that's 6 inches or 8 inches tall, standing, you're on the side of a mountain, you're on a house that's hanging out over the hill, so it's the house isn't built into the ground. It's one of these that have the posts dug into the ground, and the house is built onto a platform. You know, the house is going to shake a little bit when you walk around the house. The area is subject to earthquakes. You know, there's a lot of things that could explain what he saw or what he claimed happened. And just I tend to discount people say, "Oh, I had a strange feeling there," or something like, "Okay, yeah, that's about you." It's got to be something I can quantify, and I didn't see anything in there that I could quantify. In fact, there was one time, I think Jordan did a live stream there once, or when I was there too, and David Oman pulled out a some sort of device, I think that they use for like telephone transmissions or something, and he was turning it on. He was getting all these weird electrical distortions in the house, which he claimed were as evidence of ghosts. And I'm looking at the house, and he's got these little dimmers all over the place on the walls for the lights. Well, those things kick up on a radio frequencies like you can't believe that'll affect that. And I remember actually turning one of the lights off, and the sound on his thing changed. So I discount that. It was interesting there up to go up and see that house too, or well, at least the gate. You can't get past the gate, and I guess they basically tore the house down after all that and rebuilt. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, John. Earthquakes, because I mean, that's the Hollywood Hills. That's there's the fault activity is crazy over there, and it doesn't take it. And I never heard about him like cross-referencing when he when he experienced something getting a toy getting knocked down or something like that, trying to cross-reference it and say, was there an earthquake then? Well, it's just that I get really analytical about things like that. I want to understand the world, and so I'm not going to get fooled by stuff like that. I want to see real evidence, and if I can see real evidence and then test that evidence, I don't know. I guess you could just say I'm naturally a skeptic. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I've been in a bunch of houses that people say are haunted. I've never experienced anything. because I've told you about my friend Matt, who does the Island Horizon videos back there. He used to be married to someone I knew all her life. Her parents were my godparents. My parents were her younger sister's godparents. And we grew up together and known them all their life. And the house they first lived in was supposedly haunted, but I've never experienced anything in that house either. David Oman. Yeah, I'd like to keep an open mind and believe in things like that, but I can't. I don't. If I can't see it, it's hard for me to believe it. Well, that's hard to tell too. It could be something from the hills themselves too, because we do know that there's sort of an electrical connection with plate tectonics, and so you know that can do weird things too. I don't know. The two times I got into the house, I didn't have to pay to get in, but he seemed to be connected up with a lot of the like ghost hunter shows because I guess a couple of the ghost hunter shows had done episodes in his house, and so that's probably more of what he was doing. Okay, he does. Okay, so it must have just like I said, the two times that we went there, uh, we didn't have to pay to get in. The first time, Jordan had teamed up with Scott Michaels and had gone out and done a tour for some of his fans, and I tagged along, and we ended up at the house at Scott's recommendation. And then later on, a couple weeks later, Jordan and I and a girl that he had met uh, went through the house, and it was just us. And I think Jordan did a live stream that time. But yeah, I never paid to get into that house. And so far as I know, nobody else was paying. That's probably true. I would love to see a ghost just to, just for the experience. And if I could get it on camera, that'd be even better. But no, I don't think I had to pay to get out of the house either. I don't know. I don't know what his source of income was. I think he did some music. It seemed to me when I was there, one of the times there was like musical instruments in the place. And it's entirely possible, Mark, that there's some people that are sensitive to it and others who aren't. And maybe I'm just one of the latter. No, I never saw anything like that out of Oman. He seemed like a nice guy who sincerely believed he lived in a haunted house. And who knows, like I said, maybe he did. Maybe there's just some people that are more sensitive than I am. I mean, I remember the time that Jordan live streamed in the place, and I was there, and that girl he'd met there, the girl claimed that somebody pulled her hair when nobody was around her. And of course, then David brought up, well, one of the murder victims at the Manson was that hairdresser, whatever his name was. No, no puffing ahead of time. See, I didn't see any of that, Yvonne. You know, he didn't ask us to go there. He didn't charge any money. He just was very, very interested in showing everybody around. So good seeing you again, Helen. I'm glad you showed up. Definitely stop in again if you get a chance. It was fun having you here. Hamburgers actually sound really good. Maybe that's what I'm going to do tonight. I might have just stolen Helena's idea for dinner. Yeah, I'm usually here every week at this time. So if you get a chance, hit that subscribe bell. Wait for the bell. Yeah, he had a lot of cool stuff in the house. The bourbon infused pickles, right? Thanks, Helen. I will. Yeah, maybe pie too. Yeah, we're back to talking about food. Funny how that works. I think we're all a little bit obsessive. Bourbon infused pickles and pie. I don't know. Do we have an Arby's here? I don't remember. I think maybe we do. The Arby's is pretty good. Arby's. Yeah, I guess there is one. Just one. Let's see. Where is it? There's 84. Okay, I guess there is one. Yeah, pretty close to where I used to live, I guess. So yeah, there's Arby's here. All right, good seeing you again, Darth. See you next time. Well, sometimes the live stream will appear to end early because I may be like in the middle of a sentence and all of a sudden I move the video to private because that's what happens after I end a live stream. I immediately go in and move the video to private. But if you're actually a minute or two behind uh, the actual live broadcast, maybe because of commercials or whatever, um, you may just suddenly see when we get close to the end of the video that it just cuts off because it went private. That's just one of the things I do, a little behind the scenes there. Um, because that allows YouTube time to render the video, make it look good, and otherwise, if you watch it immediately, it's going to be really low quality and stuff like that. So I usually don't make them go live until the next day. But that's why if you're ever coming to the end of it and all of a sudden the video cuts off, yeah, that's what happened. That just means I just made it go private. Oh man, me especially. Something funny will go in my head, and sometimes it'll come out of the mouth before I ask, "Is that appropriate?" I think Helen had helped me decide that we're having hamburgers for dinner tonight, so I'll probably thaw a burger or something like that, get that ready. That just sounded like a really good idea. I haven't really had a hamburger in quite a while either, so yeah, I had an omelet for breakfast, so I'm good for a while now. It would be nice if I had a tomato plant that I could harvest, right, or a nice tomato I could put on it. But at the moment, we're between tomatoes. I got a bunch of green ones, but none of them are turning on me yet. I don't know. For some reason, my eyes get dry when I'm doing the live stream. Probably because right now my eyes are kind of miserable. It's the only time I seem to have it though. It's weird. I got some eye drops I'm putting in every once in a while. Hey, Danny. Now, I lost my dad in, I don't know, 2020, I guess, and my mom a couple years ago. So, yeah, I'm an orphan now. That's the way that works. I guess that you're lucky if you hit 60 and that's when you're made an orphan. Oh yeah, I love melted cheese on hamburgers too. It's not a hamburger; it's a cheeseburger. I think I'm just getting old, Susan. Everything's starting to wear out. Well, this video will be private in a few minutes. Yeah, Bite never made it out for treats, so I don't know. His loss. No more chance for treats either because Darth's gone. Yeah, cheeseburgers are one of my favorite things. That's a good thing, Yvonne. Actually, I work for the Eat More Food industry. So, yeah, this is all just clever propaganda to make you eat more food. You just think you're being entertained. You're being indoctrinated to eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. For a while there, I was eating tuna melts, making my own tuna melts. So I thought were pretty good. It was pretty easy. I just get a couple of sourdough English muffins, spread a little tuna on it, put a little cheese on top of it, and bake it in the toaster oven. It was really great. I'm pretty much of a purist when it comes to hamburgers. It's the burger, it's the cheese. I have a spicy brown mustard, and then usually some grated jalapeno slices. And I'll put the jalapeno slices directly on the burger, and then melt the cheese over the top of it. No, not a lot of ketchup. I know that's what most people think. If it's a cheeseburger, it's mustard, ketchup, cheese, and hamburger, and that's it. But yeah, don't usually do lettuce and tomato either because I don't usually have lettuce or tomato in the house. Tomato, if I've got tomatoes growing on the back, then yes, definitely. But right now, I don't know, whatever varmint's eating my tomatoes is getting all the good ones. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good cheeseburger there, John. All right. Well, I think I've put in my time for today. Rock Shop's waiting for me, so I'm going to go check that out. Thanks everyone for stopping in. I had a good time today, and I'll see you next time. Good night, everyone.